my talk today is help. I've fallen in a valley and I can get up, okay? Today we're going to explore the concept of living through the valley, and it is inspired by the teachings of Ayala Vanzant. Now, Ayala has written many books, but the book that I'm working from today is The Value in the Valley. The spiritual principle that I'm working with is gratitude. A spiritual principle is a fundamental truth or belief that guides our thoughts, behaviors, and interactions with others in the world around us. Gratitude is a feeling where we express appreciation for what we have, regardless of how much or how little we have. Breathe that in. Yeah, grateful for what you have. So practicing gratitude can shift your focus from what is lacking to what is present and good in your life. And as Psalms 23:4 reminds us, even though I walk through the shadow and the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Whether your valley is a career setback, a health challenge, or a personal loss, there's a message for you today. In Psalms 23:4, there's a line that states, valley of the shadow of death. Now, metaphysically, this represents the darkest and the most challenging periods of life. It symbolizes the most intense fear, uncertainty, and hardship. And these valleys are not just physical dangers, but also emotional and spiritual trials. I will fear no evil. Now, this part emphasizes the power of faith and that inner strength that we all have. And it suggests that despite the external circumstances, one can remain fearless and confident. And this fearlessness, it comes from a deep trust in a higher power or the divine presence that dwells in each and every one of us. And that last line, for you are with me. In New Thought, the you refers to divine presence, often understood as the Christ consciousness or the indwelling presence of God. And this presence is a source of comfort and guidance and protection. And it reassures that one is never alone, even in your darkest times. So in the book, Ayala talks about these valleys. So what is a valley? She teaches us that valleys are just not periods of suffering, but opportunities for profound growth and transformation. If you've ever been disappointed, betrayed, rejected, abandoned, or just plain old scared to let go, then you've been or you may still be in a valley. Vanzant defines a valley as a life situation that is challenging, painful, or difficult. These can be moments of disappointment, betrayal, rejection, or any form of hardship. She says, however, there is much more value in the valley. These words remind us that our struggles have a purpose, and through faith and self-reflection, we can emerge stronger and wiser. The journey's not in vain, folks. The journey has purpose. So the valleys are not just random occurrences. They have a purpose, and they're meant to teach us character traits or spiritual virtues that we may have underdeveloped or neglected. And you know what I call them? I call them character building exercises. So can you remember a time when you were in a valley? What did it feel like? How did you get out of that valley? What lessons did you learn? So hold on to that wisdom, because that's the wisdom you're going to tap into when you're in a valley again. The valley serves a purpose. And according to Vanzant, valleys are an opportunity for that expanded growth and expanded transformation, and forces us to confront our fears, our insecurities, and unresolved issues. I know I'm the only one in here with unresolved issues, right? What is calling forth healing in your life? Now, these everyday challenges, the obstacles or dilemmas that she calls valleys, there's a purpose, and she emphasizes that the value in the valley comes around when we can accept truth for what it is and be able to deal with some of the difficulties that we're facing. Now, most of the calls that I receive for prayer are not for someone that life is wonderful and everything is great. I get the calls for prayer or a practice session when somebody's in a valley And usually they're deep in the valley and they can't get up. The valley has a way of moving us to that place of faith. When you have nothing else, you have faith. Faith is a general sense that you have complete trust or confidence in someone or something. It often involves believing in something without requiring empirical evidence or proof. In metaphysical terms, faith is viewed as the powerful force that can shape your reality. It is the conviction that what is desired or needed already is present in the spiritual realm and will manifest in the physical world. I think somebody needs to hear that one more time. Let me say that. It is the conviction, meaning that you believe it, regardless if you can see it or not, that what you desire or what you need already exists in the spiritual realm and you are bringing it forward to the physical world. You get the power? You see how that is? It ain't rocket science. Change your thinking, you will change. I dare you to not change your life. How about that? There's no difference than when we already believe in new thought. We emphasize the power of positive thinking and the law of attraction. So Vanzant encourages acceptance of the valley as part of life's journey. She says that resistance only prolongs your suffering. We know that which we resist persists. So maintaining faith and trust in a higher power during these crucial times is important. But faith helps us navigate the valley with hope and resilience. Is it your job you hate because you got to work that job to pay your bills? Is it that relationship that you gave your all to and you still ended up with a broken heart again? Perhaps it's your children, a family member, or a lifelong friend doing you in, dragging you down, pushing you to the brink. You feel the vibration of those words? Doing you in, dragging you down, and pushing you to the brink. Now, we got to be careful with our words because the universe will always respond with a what, folks? Yes, exactly. So if you say somebody's dragging you down, what they going to do? Absolutely. So we need to change that. If you are an honorary member of the People's Suffering Society, you have probably been told that it's all your fault, or that struggling and suffering is yours to do in life. I say no. Life is an act of faith, and suffering is optional, darling. That's all right, give it up. That's right. It is optional. And some of us don't know that. Some of us think that it's a part of life. No, it's not supposed to be like that. And I get it, because I've been there and then you know what? On a bad day, I'm still there sometimes. But there is a way out. Valleys show up in our life as a way for you to have self-reflection and move you to action. Valleys symbolizes periods of deep reflection, and they provide a space for individuals to look inward and examine their thoughts and their emotions. And if it wasn't for that valley, I guarantee you, you would not be so reflective. You would not be so introspective. But valleys have a way of moving you to action. When we have a lot of external distractions, we have to go within. Ernest Holmes says, turn away from the howlers, turn away from the noise, and go within. This introspection can lead to greater self-awareness and clarity about your path and your purpose. We can't deny the valley. The sooner we accept the valley as a part of life's journeys, we surrender into this place of knowingness. Resistance only prolongs the suffering. So taking action and making necessary changes in our lives is essential. And valleys will push us to make decisions, especially those decisions that you've been avoiding. Transformation happens in the valley. It may not happen when you're on mountain high, but trust me, to come out of that valley, you are different when you went in and then when you came out. Think about those life experiences when you didn't know if you were going to make it or not. Trust me, and when you did and you made it through and you looked over your shoulder, you see that you had changed. In Romans 12:2, it states, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. After these transformative experiences, we are not the same people because we can't be. Valleys represent the challenges and hardships that pushes us to evolve and develop spiritually. Expansion is not easy, because if it was, we'd be expanding all over the place, okay? These experiences are viewed as necessary steps towards reaching higher levels of consciousness and understanding. The valley is the time to shore up your faith and your trust. Now, being in the valley often requires a deep sense of faith and trust in the universe or a higher power. This principle emphasizes the importance of maintaining faith even when the path ahead is not clear. Now, you've heard folks say blind faith, or faith of a mustard seed, or faith in something unseen. When you don't know when your hope is going to show up, it takes courage to make it through. Maya Angelou said, courage is the most important of the virtues. Courage is right up there with kindness, honesty, faith, gratitude, and compassion. Because without courage, you can't practice other virtues consistently. You can practice virtues erratically, but nothing consistently without courage. Think about it. To be kind in a situation that is calling forth kindness, sometimes a step up, it takes courage. To be in that place and be honest with someone, it takes courage. So we have all these virtues, but courage is like the umbrella that supports it. The valley will teach you resilience and adaptability, I guarantee you. You may have had it in your mind that I'm not going to do something, I'm steadfast, and let a valley hit you. All of a sudden, it's like, let me look over here. What y'all got? Talk to me, okay? They remind us that life is full of ups and downs, and it's essential to remain flexible and open to change. This adaptability helps individuals navigate through tough times and emerge stronger and more resilient. And when we gain humility and receptivity in the valley, it encourages us to let go of the ego and be open to learning and receiving guidance from the universe. The principle highlights the importance of being humble and receptive to the lessons that life presents. Live long enough, folks, I guarantee you, you will be humbled by life. You will find out that you're not as smart as you thought you were. You don't have as much money as you thought you should have, and you're not as cute as you used to be. You get my drift? A valley will force you to find community and support systems. Valleys often highlight the importance of community and support. They remind us that we're not alone in our struggles and that seeking help and support from others is vital. Vanzant talks about surrounding yourself with a supportive community and using positive affirmations to keep your spirit uplifted. So whether you're facing a health crisis, a financial struggle, or a relationship issue, these practices can help you find strength and hope. The principle of community underscores the interconnectedness of all beings and the value of mutual support and compassion. Now, I experienced an unexpected valley in my life in July of 2023. It's funny how life changes. When it changes, we always can remember what we were doing. It was a beautiful sunny day. I was at the farm, and I was harvesting blueberry tomatoes for the farm stand. And I received a call from my doctor informing me that my biopsy tested positive for cancer. And they couldn't tell me at that time what the stage was. It didn't matter, because after that, I didn't hear anything else. I know she said something about an appointment or seeing a specialist, but I was literally paralyzed. I sat down on the ground because my legs could no longer support the weight of the news that I had just heard. And I sat there in a bed of cucumbers, and I repeated the words, I have cancer. Okay, God, I have cancer. I tried to get my head around the news, and I couldn't believe that I had just received a cancer diagnosis. Now, the now is real, and it ain't a river in Egypt, okay? The information made no sense to me, because a few months back, I was given a clean bill of health. How is this possible? And I thought, Okay, Tanya, get it together. Who do I call? Who do I need to call? Well, first of all, I need to get up out the cucumbers, and I need to go to my car, and I need to go home. And when I got home, I went into my meditation room, and I sat there for a while. And I said, how am I going to tell Jen? My family, my friends. And I pulled myself together, and I sat Jen down, and I told her. I said, babe, my doctor just told me that I have cancer. And it was at that moment that the dam broke. I melted into my wife's arms and I wailed. And once I was able to collect myself, it came to me to ask for prayer. I surely needed prayer, and my wife did too, because I was spiraling out of control with fear and doubt and uncertainty. And she was trying to hold it together for me and her. And in that moment, I didn't know my truth anymore. I couldn't hold the truth for myself, and I needed somebody to do that for me. And so I called a practitioner. And after receiving prayer, I was able to pull myself together enough to just simply say, let go and let God. Now, my mom used to say that. She said, let go and let God in the most trying moments in her life. And I didn't understand it then, but trust me, folks, I got the lesson. I remember praying and asking for clarity with my direction and where do I start, Lord? I walked in my meditation room, and sitting on my table was a copy of This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. That was the only sign that I needed. I laughed and said, okay, Goddess, you got a sense of humor. I had to go back to the basics. I had to totally surrender to what was to what is. And I asked myself the question, what would you say to someone, Tanya, in a practitioner session? You know, it's difficult to self-medicate, but I had to take a large spoon of my own medicine, and I would ask them about their spiritual practices, the basics of spiritual practices. What am I willing to do daily to stay connected and in alignment with Spirit? Am I willing to allow the Spirit to guide me? What I do know, folks, that I'm only good as my current level of consciousness and my current level of spiritual practices, because that is the foundation that I stood on. People have asked, how did you get through the tough times in your life, Tanya? Well, in the book, Ayala gave me several practical steps to get through the valley. I used many of her suggested practices to get through my valley. I used spiritual practices. I had to shore up my support system and find my tribe. I incorporated gratitude as a daily practice, and I had to embrace change. For 8 months, I stepped away from my life as I knew it. I stepped away from the farm, from the church, from social activism, African American Suicide Prevention Project, my consulting and coaching business. I made me the priority. I made me number one. Fancy that. And that was tough for me. I'm a recovering caregiver. I always put others before me. But I had to put me first, especially when I found out and I got that next call and said I had stage 4 endometrial uterine cancer. Wow, stage 4. To me, that was a death sentence. But what I've since learned about stage 4, it just means the cancer traveled to another part of your body. It's not a death sentence anymore. But I had a robotic hysterectomy, and I had 6 rounds of chemotherapy. And to ground myself during this process, I had to incorporate spiritual practice like I've never, ever had to do before. And into my daily routine was movement and prayer and meditation and journaling and affirmations. It ain't rocket science. See, the basics. And I use what I call my ATM account. Affirmation, treatment, and meditation, and I took a lot of withdrawals. Amen. I use affirmations and positive thinking to reinforce my faith and trust in the Creator. I reminded myself that this valley had a purpose. And I didn't know at this time what it was for me, but I knew that everything that I needed was already inside of me. And deep down inside, I needed help maintaining a hopeful and optimistic mindset. Sometimes all I could say is God is all there is. I couldn't muster out anything else but that. And then when I got a little stronger, I could say God is the only power in my life. Ernest Holmes says in the book, philosophy of Jesus, that what we need to do is to eliminate the negative and accentuate the positive. And in doing this, we gradually acquire the habit of affirmative thinking. I practice meditation and mindfulness daily, and I walked in nature as often as possible. And I sat in my backyard with my beautiful succulents and the vegetables, and that was healing. And when I couldn't get out of bed, I looked outside my bedroom window and I saw my fruit trees, vegetable beds, and succulents, but I saw them with new, appreciative eyes. I incorporated yoga for stretching and body movement, and I meditated to stay connected and to maintain a sense of peace during my most challenging times. One of my practitioner sisters came to my house and walked me through a beautiful and powerful healing meditation. I thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful. While going through the grief cycle, I found myself in a place of anger, and it was important for me to refocus my energy on peace. Meditation helped me with that. I listened to guided meditations because I couldn't quiet the monkey chatter in my mind. I listened to music to refocus my attention, and there was one song that I listened to over and over again. And you may know this song. It's by Karen Drucker. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will love myself like a newborn baby child. And my favorite line, I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Those are the words that I hung on to. And during my time in the valley, it was crucial for me to stay centered through treatment, also known as prayer. And I had others treating for me. And when I said I had others treating for me, I had the folks at the farm from Nepal, from Bhutan, from Korea, from Afghanistan, praying for me in their language, and I understood every word. I had the fundamentalist Christians, the African Methodist Episcopals praying for me. I had the CSA practitioners and the ministers praying for me. I had my Wiccan and goddess sisters from Woman Spirit and my Buddhist brothers praying as well. I was open and receptive to all prayer. And my go-to prayer was, this is one life. There is one life. That life is God, that life is perfect, and that life is my life now. You see, when your head is cloudy and you're not clear, you can't use a whole lot of words. You got to simplify it. And the other prayer was by Jack Addington, as God is the only power in my life. Nothing from without can touch the perfect life of God within. I said that every single time I went to chemo. Every single time. I had to find my support system, and I had to find my village. And this was the most humbling. Reaching out to friends and family and my spiritual and work community. Y'all showed up. Y'all showed up and y'all showed out. I can't tell you the stuff that I would find that was delivered to my house, stuff that was left outside my gate. People didn't even leave names. They just left things for me, for my healing journey. So me being transparent and sharing my journey, I received the support and encouragement. I received it from everywhere, and I had to make a conscious choice to be transparent. I could have went away and hid for a while, but that's not how I roll. Y'all know I live boldly out loud, okay? And so the farm, my church, my community, my family, and my friends. And it even came from unexpected places. By me posting on Facebook, the people I hadn't seen in years would send me notes about, you impacted my life. You did this, or you shared these words with me. And they were giving me those words back. Without that love and support, I don't know if I would have been able to make it. And supporting my wife. She's up watching me every night, won't go to sleep. But when people came over or people delivered something and gave her a break, I get that the person who is ill needs the attention, but the caregiver needs it too. And so I thank those of you who recognize that. I don't know how people make it on this journey alone. And at Kaiser downtown, they had 52 bays for chemo. They had 3 schedules per day, and each bay was filled. every walk of life, every person, every generation was represented with cancer. And so in that process, I began to see some people didn't have someone to support them. You know, when I went for chemo, my family from LA came up here and they took all the spots. There was no room for my friends. My friend was like, well, can I come see you? You know, because my family. And that's what a wonderful thing to have that kind of support. I learned from my sister Gretchen about affinity groups. And I learned that an affinity group is a collection of individuals who come together based on shared interests, identity, or common goal. Well, I found my tribe in a mindfulness class at Kaiser for patients. And what I learned about this group is that I teach mindfulness, I teach meditation, but I needed a different type of connection. I needed some place where people could relate to my issues, and at the time, mine was cancer. These folks got it when I shared my moments when I couldn't get out of bed or I couldn't eat or I was sick. They got it, and I didn't have to explain, so I could conserve that energy. I had to be my own advocate when I felt the medications or treatments were not working in my favor, and I spoke up and I stood up to the doctors when I disagreed with their decisions, and I told them no. I can't imagine folks who don't have a voice or feel intimidated by the medical system. To get the support, I had to ask for help. I was no longer that superwoman who had all the answers. I had none. I had to surrender to the process and to those around me. I didn't know how to do cancer, so I had to shut my mouth and become an observer in my own world. And by being transparent with my journey, I received so much love and so much support. I would have never known how many people loved me and how I had impacted their lives. I also learned that the universe is reciprocal. My giving all the time was one-sided. I needed to get the balance and be a receiver. You see how this goes? It's reciprocity. You give a little, you get a little. You can't just be on one side of giving, 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 or receiving, receiving. It's a balanced cycle. I use gratitude as a spiritual practice. I kept a daily gratitude journal and a God box. And I used that God box when I had doubt and I couldn't remember what I was grateful for. I practiced gratitude even in my most difficult times. And it allowed me to shift my focus from what was lacking to what is present and good. And I had to embrace change. I had to be open and adaptable to change. The changes in my life, the changes with my health, the changes in my home, the changes in my relationship, and the changes with my body. I had to be open. Dr. William Bridges talks about change like this. He says, we go through 3 predictable stages. There's an ending, there's a middle part called the neutral zone, or twilight zone is what I call it, and then the new beginnings. And so a chapter is finished or you're hit with a change and you got to let go of something. That's where all the heaviness is. That's where all the grief is. That's where the hanging on, I don't want it to go, and you're screaming and it's going to change anyway. And you move to this middle part, call it a valley. Jesus called it the wilderness. This middle part called the neutral zone has 2 sides to it. One side is chaotic, lacks direction, and the other side is creative. So imagine your old world is crumbling, but the new world hasn't been defined yet, and you're in this in-between. So as you let go, the creative forces, that divine spark within you begins to create a new beginning. So it is that time in the middle that is the most challenging. That is where we have to go, and we need to figure it out. I went through that recently. I had that in-between time, waiting on information, waiting on test results. And I received my last CAT scan, and I'm happy to say that I am cancer-free. Yeah. Blessed be. Blessed be. And so every bit of the journey, every bit of it, I bless it. I bless it, because who you see before you is an expanded version of what was here before. Trust me. Living through the valley is a universal experience. We all face challenges that test our faith and resilience. But remember, the valley is not the end of the journey. It is a place of growth and transformation. And as we walk through our valleys, let us hold on to our faith, our spiritual practice, and our support systems. Take the time to find the value in the valley. And by understanding that, There is a predictable phase of life called a valley, and I can now navigate through my valleys with greater wisdom, resilience, and spiritual insight. So here's my call to action for you. I invite you to reflect on your own experiences and consider how you found value and purpose in the valley. You made it through. You made it through your valley. How did you do it? Your resiliency came from somewhere. So next time you fall in the valley, remember, you can get up. You can get up. Thank you. Thank you. Let's take this message into prayer. Mother, Father God, today we have a message of hope, faith, and resilience in the valley today. I know that even in the valley, the eye is on the sparrow, and I know that he watches over me. This is a blessed thought, for it means that we cannot wander from the presence of God or depart from divine care. For this I am eternally grateful. I know that God always, always watches over us and comforts us, even in the valley. Amen. Amen. Ashe.